Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of CoinNewsExtra interview session. So it's a program where we invite blockchain and cryptocurrency artisans, innovators, and personalities who come to talk about the impact they are making in the ecosystem and how to move the ecosystem forward. So today we have James Edward. James Edward is the CEO and president of EG Group Holdings. James, you're welcome to CoinNewsExtra.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, and you are doing amazing work in the ecosystem. So, James, you see how the ecosystem is, the blockchain and cryptocurrency. How did you get into the ecosystem, and how is your background like?
Okay. Essentially, I have a background in investment banking. I was a financial advisor for a number of years and dealt with different wealth creation mechanisms, as well as estate planning and different types of sustenance for sustaining your wealth in different times and different levels of volatility. And I also have a background in trade and in logistics and doing cross-border transactions, dealing with either edible oils, sugar, flour, rice, different types of food commodities, and basically importing or exporting throughout the different areas in the Caribbean. From there, in 2015, I would say, I started to look at the advancements of Bitcoin and Ethereum and started thinking about different ways that we can integrate that into what I've already done and to marry it in such a way that it will allow for the maximum penetration for everyone, essentially, instead of just the few that know. Because essentially that's what ends up happening in a lot of different areas in finance. It's the ones that are aware, the ones that are cognizant of different vehicles and ways that they can make more money that make the most money, whereas the majority of the people are left behind and struggling with the day-to-day things of life, you know?
Interesting how you got into the ecosystem. You got in early. Seeing how the ecosystem is, most especially during this pandemic, how are you making impact in the ecosystem with your platform, your projects, your group?
Well, GenesisONE is our brand. GenesisONE is the actual platform that we have implemented by utilizing a GenesisONE token and the Gen1 coin. GenesisONE token is our essential core cryptocurrency that is open to market forces. So in essence, that's the vehicle whereby people who want to invest can go ahead and invest and reap the benefits and the value from the different actions and volume transactions on the exchanges. Where we differ in terms of other cryptocurrency is that there are a number of different projects that we are implementing, and these projects will bring more value to the underlying GenesisONE token. So for instance, all users of the GenesisONE token who are also members of the platform will be able to derive dividends quarterly as well as annually, as well as to be able to take the individual tokens that they have and place them into the specific sectors of those projects, which would enable them to get more dividends based on the individual performance of that business. So just to give you an example, for instance, if someone wanted to invest the Genesis tokens, the allocation that they have into the lottery system that we're implementing, whatever the performance annually is for that specific business model will enable them to get more dividends. In essence, they're getting dividends based on the performance. So in essence, our Gen1 coin is our stable managed token coin. Okay, that would allow people to essentially be able to use the Gen1 coin in everyday situations. You want to go to the supermarket, you want to buy some groceries, you want to pay for services, you can use the Gen1 coin. And the benefit of that is it will always maintain the value that which is essentially $1 US. So one Gen coin, one is equal to $1 US. And we will maintain that by underlying business practices, which is throughout the different sectors and the different projects that we undertake to make sure that that value is always that level so that you don't have to worry when you go out to buy some pizza or buy some groceries, that the money that you just spent is now worth 10 times as much tomorrow. Which is essentially what happens with Bitcoin or some of the other cryptocurrencies. You can't trust that the value will be maintained even the minute after you've just spent it or received it.
Yeah, interesting. What you're doing with Genesis One to create a innovation in the ecosystem. So we believe our analysts and also research have discovered that key to mass crypto and blockchain adoption is proper education around the ecosystem. How are you making that to happen with your ecosystem, with your project?
Currently, in the initial stages, what we've been doing is having a social media program. And instead of targeting specific cryptocurrency niches, we've been targeting globally. And anyone who we've been running advertisements on Facebook and Instagram. So anyone who wants to get more information can go out and actively seek that information, and someone will be able to contact them or through the platform, be able to educate them exactly what it is that we do. Later on, as we progress through the platform and the development stages, what we want to do is have satellite offices essentially throughout the different communities in the world. What that will enable us to do is not only be able to have boots on the ground to help educate and to help people in the different communities understand what is Genesis One, what is cryptocurrency, and how it can eventually benefit them in society. And essentially, what that'll enable also is to grow, develop, and cultivate talent locally. So essentially, what can happen is people can come in, we interview them, we talk to them, we understand what it is that their individual aspirations are for themselves, and therefore see how we can integrate that within the community to help the community grow and prosper.
Interesting. I was able to go on your profile. You wrote, we are looking to create a more stable currency that then can lend itself to becoming ubiquitous as fiat currencies. What does that
Right.
really entail?
Um, like I mentioned earlier, the interesting one we're coming out with initially with the lottery, the sports book, as well as virtual casino. Mainly, we've chosen these businesses to start off with is because that is games of chance, games of fortune are essentially what binds us all. These are things that everyone shares our affinity to, wants to participate in, wants to take their chance. And we feel that these are best able to give us a foothold in different communities globally. And essentially, these core businesses will enable us to progress into the banking, into the airline industry, into the hotels, into different facets of everyday lives that enable everyone in order to grow and prosper. The banking itself, specifically with the Genesis One coin, is what will enable us to compete with fiat currency. Because, as I mentioned a little bit about 5 minutes ago, the managed features of the Genesis One coin is what allows us to be able to allow our users and our members to go in and purchase different products, different services, pay for them, and know that they just hadn't spent more than they intended to. And the person receiving it hasn't received less than they intended to as well. Because as you know, cryptocurrency appreciates and it depreciates minute by minute basis. So with it being more managed and centralized, we can assure the ubiquitousness of the underlying cryptocurrency and be able to let people use it wherever they want.
Okay.
But just to elaborate a little bit more on the banking platform itself, it'll be a global platform that allow, for instance, you could be in Nigeria, you could be in the United States, wherever it is that you wish to have access to that banking platform. You can have access to your funds that you can. We are developing a sort of credit card so that you can utilize those funds based on that credit card for if you don't have access to your smartphone or your internet or our app.
Interesting. Finally, before we draw the curtain on today's episode of CoinNewsExtra interview session, so you are in the United States and you see some other nations are looking into the banking sector, are looking into cryptocurrency. how do you see the future of blockchain and cryptocurrency?
There are a number of forces that are resistant to cryptocurrency. And the reasoning behind that is essentially that a lot of people who essentially are in different power structures would like to maintain that power structure. And cryptocurrency, blockchain takes away that power from them, takes away in it in such that it gives that power to the individual, and they can't control that. So essentially, there are some instances where countries, central banks are trying to enforce regulation that makes it more difficult for cryptocurrency to take place. But at the same token, there are others who see the benefits of it because it does benefit a country in such a way that there are certain controls that they could be implemented in terms of KYC and anti-money laundering that can give them the cushion that they need to assure that there aren't illegal activities that are being taken place. But at the same time, it affords people everywhere to be able to transact across the globe seamlessly. I mean, it takes away the differences between time, it takes away the differences between currency fluctuations, exchanges, and controls to such a point where you can go in and purchase something off Amazon in the United States and not have to worry about how much nearer that you have to convert into US dollars in order to make that purchase, if it was such the case that Amazon wasn't available in Nigeria. So it unifies collectively everyone's efforts to progress society to such a level that everyone can grow.
That's insightful. Thank you very much, James Edouard, for joining us today on CoinNewsExtra interview.
Thank you for having me, and I'm happy to be back whenever you would want.